All right. Hello and welcome, Brett here with ClickMill.co. Thank you for joining me in this course where we're going to talk about death. And as we start talking about this subject, I want you to put yourself at the pearly gates. I've heard this a couple different ways in different books I've read, over the years. And what I found was very impactful for me is to put myself in the situation where I've died. And what do you do when you die? Well, you're going to go and you're going to meet the king, right? You're going to go and you're going to meet Jesus. And, biblically speaking, and I'm not trying to paint any exact picture, but just, a relevant picture, books will be opened. There will be the book of life. Your name will be in it or it won't be in it. And you'll be asked to give an account for the things you've done. In this course, and obviously in this program, I'm assuming you're a Christian and you know Christ. And so we don't really spend much time talking about salvation. This is more about how do we use our life to glorify God and to live in such a way that we would hear a well done, my good and faithful servant. And to do the best that we can possibly do, but also, Lord willing, to get some results, to get some kingdom fruit, to be able to show something when we get there, and to be able to say, Master, look, you gave me 5 talents and I've given you 5 more. That's my goal. And so when we get there, salvation's not necessarily the question. The question is fruit. And what I believe is that when I get to heaven, Christ is going to ask me for an account on how I have managed the talents that he gave me. And of course, in the parable of the talents, I'm sure we'll include references to that here in this section. But in the parable of the talents, these are a representative of wages. And I believe each talent, which is like a US dollar or a euro or a pound or a Great British pound, something like that. But these talents, one talent is representative of 20 years' wages. So this is a tremendous amount of money in this parable that is being entrusted. And when Jesus returns, the 2 people with the 3 talents and the 5 talents, there's 2 references to this. So the point is the same in both. The people who were willing to risk, not a crazy risk, but the risking it and investing those talents in some kind of way that created an increase. Those were the people that he said, well done, my good and faithful servant. And not only that, he also introduces the Matthew principle, which is used in economics. It's used in a number of places because you can actually see the Matthew principle in place in this world. But he says, take from the one who only has 1 talent, who hid it in the ground and who is afraid. I knew you were a shrewd master, and give it to the one who has many, who is the 10. Well, I want to get to heaven and I want to be the man that has 10. And that's not a reference to finances. It's a reference to um, heavenly fruit. And we're going to talk more about what that means, but works that are impactful on an eternal measure. And I think there's a couple things that we can get from that. But what is it that Christ is going to ask us for? He's going to ask us to give an account for the resources that he entrusted us with. And that can be any number of things, but it's certainly your time and your finances and your decisions and what you spent your attention on, right? Because you have a limited amount of attention every day. And, you'll hear this in other courses. This is just basic. And the effort that you have every day, what did you spend it on? Did you spend it? Or did we just kind of sit around and not do a whole lot? And so coming around to kind of the point here is when I meet Jesus and he says, hey, what'd you do with that year of your life where I put you over here. And here's all the books that are written about what you accomplished that I had set you out to. And here's all the books that are written that you didn't accomplish because you weren't operating at your potential. What were you doing? Well, I didn't actually get all those books written over there, the ones that should have been written, because I was like, I was drinking a lot, or I was, I was just, I was really into some fiction books, and I read, 300 of those in a year or something. It's like, I don't want to have that answer. I want to say I was listening. I did my absolute very best during that year. I missed some stuff and I did my best. That's the answer I want to give, because it doesn't matter what the result is. He's going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And that's how I weigh every decision. Is this a decision that I want to answer for when I meet Jesus? So, I would encourage you to begin putting yourself in that place, because what a lot of people do is they put this off, and they do, I don't know, whatever it is that they want to do until death confronts them. And if they live through that, I know someone who, recently got a bout of cancer, and I think he's now clean of that. But he's in his 50s, and he's like, whoa, I got to get my fathering under control. I need to get my family under control. He's like doing a huge life change. You don't have to wait for a confrontation with death to decide you're not doing things the way you should. You just confront death every day. That's how we're supposed to live. And that is how we can be serious about our faith, because we do not want to store up our treasures here on earth. We want to store up our treasure in heaven. So where do we need to be every day? Giving an account to Christ in heaven. We need to be practicing that every day, so that when we get there, we've already got the answers, So it makes sense. You prepare for an interview, you prepare for your interview with Christ. And wrapping this video up, in the next video, I'm going to talk about a book and what we get to take with us, because that's fairly important. Let me think here. So with that, I want you to start considering your death, and not necessarily your death, but the introduction of yourself to Christ at the pearly gates. Oh, that was it. So before we close this video and we'll move on to the next one, I want you to consider, what are you building with? Are you building on the foundation that is Christ? This is 2 Corinthians, if you want to look this up. What are you building with? Because we get to build on the foundation that is Christ. No one can lay a foundation other than that which has been laid, and Paul makes that clear. Paul laid the foundation of the gospel to the Gentiles. Are you building your house, your life, with wood, hay, or straw, or gold, stone, and precious metals? Because the day is coming when you're going to meet Christ, and your works, not your salvation, it says your works will be put to the test. And whatever survives the fire of judgment of your works, not your salvation, right? Because we're not talking about salvation. It says whatever you've built that survives, you get to take with you. And again, we'll talk about that in the next video. But if it's wood, hair, straw, and you test that with fire, you're going to be going in as though one escaping the flames. And the way I interpret that is, you're diving, through the window, getting out of that burning house that was your life, and you've got some singe marks, you've got some, black patches on the back of your pants as you were going out. That fire was about to take you with it. Are you saved? Are you going to heaven? Yeah, if you're a believer. At the same time, you don't have any good answers, you know. Um, on the alternative, you build, and this is what this whole back end is about. This whole course is about building with things that endure into eternal life, gold, stone, and precious metals, and that's what we're talking about. And so you have to ask yourself every day, when this is tested, will this make it through the fire? Even right now with me, as I'm filming this video, is this a worthwhile video to be filming? This seems like a weird video to film. You're talking about death. You're talking about death and you think about death every day. I do. Yes. And this is probably the most worthwhile video, because if you figure this out, everything else falls into place. Everything else starts to make sense. Well, what am I supposed to be doing? You're going to know what you're supposed to be doing when you start thinking about meeting Jesus. It becomes real clear. So with that, are you building with gold, stone, and precious metals? Are you building with wood, hay, or straw? Forget yesterday, right? Christ is enough to make up for yesterday. Today, do the best you can do with what you've been given, steward what you've been given, and make the choices that you would be proud to explain to the God of the universe when you get the opportunity to meet him. So with that, I'm going to conclude this video. I will see you in the next video where we're going to be talking about what do we actually get to take with us. I'll see you there.